just search engine Antifa punching women, hitting them in the heads with bike locks, dragging them into crowds to be beating them over the head with eggs, blooding their noses. There's new ones every few days where men walk over and just punch women in the face. It's like they pick who they think's weak. Because I've been around Antifa. They don't, other than sneaking up behind me and trying to hit me with clubs, so I attack them so they can shoot me, because they bring guns out here in Austin. They always seem to target who they think is weak.
Yes. They always go after the weakest. And of course, when in a situation where we have, especially in San Francisco, where you have, you know, a few women and then there's a few men, the men, of course, are always going to try to be out there to protect the women. So when they go after the women, you know, everyone kind of goes over to the woman or whoever's getting attacked, and then that also distracts other people, and then other people come in. I mean, it turns into, like, well, as you saw, you can see it in the video, it turns into a brawl.
Well, Larry Graffwall was a Green Beret, highly decorated in Vietnam, a patriot going to college, and the weathermen were actually at his college openly trying to recruit military members at the time for their whole Maoist operation. And he got into their organization. They were openly talking about how they were going to take over the schools, create a race war, put 50 million people in camps, kill 25 million. We'll play the clip coming up later. And you know the great part about we all live forever. I'm my great-great-grandparents. My children will be me as long as we go on. So Larry Graffwall is with us now in the body of Lindsay Graffwall. And, of course, her mother's with her as well. That's how this works, this magic of life. And she goes out to prayer vigils. She's been to a bunch of these where sometimes there's 50 or 60 of them. Sometimes there's just 7 or 8, looks like in the video I saw this weekend. And Antifa came in. Looks like, you know, you've got a transsexual there leading them in their prayer meeting. It's open to everybody. A lot of liberals actually come out there, classical liberals who are for free speech. And here comes, looks like about 15 thugs to then mainly attack women, and a transsexual and a Hispanic man. And then of course they fight them off and they leave. So it is interesting to see the tranny beat up 4 or 5 of them. Oh, by the way, Facebook bans us, and so does when we use the word tranny, because they say that's a word Twitter voted to say is mean. I'm not being mean to anybody. That's the term they came up with. I'm using it. Transsexual, whatever. I don't care what you are. Just don't teach it to kids, whether it be heterosexual, whatever it is. That's a side issue. If you're a TV viewer, you can see all this. I'm describing it for radio listeners. A lot of people email us and they go, why is Jones describing everything on air? Because we're on almost 270 radio affiliates, and it's a huge audience, and it's bigger while people are listening than all the other streams, TV stations, everything. So I'm kind of narrating for folks when things aren't radio friendly. That's what's happening. We pioneered simulcasting radio and TV. So that's what we do, because it's very confusing when I'm talking about something and not describing it. So she joins us in the middle of the left saying, ban InfoWars, ban Trump off Twitter. We've got all this craziness going on right now. It's all up on InfoWars.com. And Lindsay joins us. She goes out there. And, again, this happened in Portland a month ago. They beat up a bunch of men, women, and children. There's only a few men there at a prayer vigil. So then a few dozen men like Rufio show up, and even though they're 10 to 1, they beat the butts of those guys. And so, again, these are all in blue cities where the police stand down and allow this to happen. It's very, 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 very shameful. And I don't know where on earth you get men that are willing to attack women. I mean, you see the left claiming they love women, they're going to take care of women, and all men are bad. But then it's the left I always see when I was trying to get into Trump's inauguration that was attacking women trying to get in. So there's just something about these cowards and I guess they thought when they punched the large transsexual that it was a woman, because then the transsexual, proving it's a man, beats up a bunch of them. So you can't make this up. Transsexuals beating him up, one guy beating a bunch up, women beating him up. Lindsay Graffwall, we salute you. We appreciate your courage. Thanks for coming on to tell us what happened.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it was crazy. And that the transsexual, her name is Amber Cummings, and she actually threw that event in San Francisco on Saturday.
Well, good for her.
Yeah, she's out with us on the street. She was in Portland with me and Joey and Rufio and all of us up there last month, which was really crazy. And I can watch that video clip of Rufio knocking that guy out over and over again, and it never gets old. So yeah, we went out there. We've been planning a prayer vigil for Tommy Robinson for over a month, and as you see, we had a very small group of people that came out, but we hadn't even been there for 10 minutes, and literally there were already people trying to attack us. Part of this event is not on video. Nobody got it on video, but Amber actually knocked one of the Antifa guys in the nose, and I believe she probably broke his nose because he was pretty bloody. And that was before he came back with this group that you're showing. They literally came back about 10 minutes later, and they were obviously there to fight. Um, and we called the cops. The cops took about 30 minutes to get there, which was, a pretty typical in these blue cities. But San Francisco's usually been pretty good to us, so we were kind of surprised that it took so long for them to show up. Um, but this is what happens. This is what happens in these cities. You saw it in Portland, you've seen it in San Francisco, and we've seen it in Berkeley. It happens in all these cities, and basically they're trying to shut us down, you know, at any cost. They don't want us out there, talking anything that we have to say, anything that we're out there trying to promote. This particular event, they said that we were racist, that Tommy Robinson is racist, and so that makes us racist, and that was their whole reason for coming out and trying to stop us.
It's amazing how within very quickly you guys meeting, they already show up, meaning they're stalking you, they're watching you. And even if folks don't want to get in the fights, when you see these events happening, you should go and wait across the street with your camera as if you're neutral, so you actually get what happens, because they attack folks that have cameras. So if you could park your car, be ready, catch it on tape, that's what we really need to get the full exchanges to document exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it's difficult, especially when you're in the mix of all of it. It's difficult to get, the whole thing on video. I mean, I was videoing as well, and I didn't even know some of the stuff happened until it was all over, because it's hard to catch everything on video. So what you just said is absolutely correct. If someone, sees it and they can get in a vantage point where they're across the street and get it on video, we need to get these kind of things on video to show what's going on, because this is happening, and this is happening in cities all over the country.
There are so many videos. In fact, we should have done a compilation for the show, but it's my fault. I'm telling the crew of just search engine Antifa punching women, hitting them in the heads with bike locks, dragging them into crowds to be beating them over the head with eggs, bloodying their noses. There's new ones every few days where men walk over and just punch women in the face. It's like they pick who they think's weak. Because I've been around Antifa. They don't, other than sneaking up behind me and trying to hit me with clubs, so I attack them so they can shoot me, because they bring guns out here in Austin. They always seem to target who they think is weak.
Yes, they always go after the weakest. And of course, when in a situation where we have, especially in San Francisco, where you have, a few women and then there's a few men, the men, of course, are always going to try to be out there to protect the women. So when they go after the women, everyone kind of goes over to the woman or whoever's getting attacked, and then that also distracts other people, and then other people come in. I mean, it turns into, like, well, as you saw, you can see it in the video, it turns into a brawl, a brawl. And it's amazing that encounter went on for probably a good 5 minutes. I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of guessing. And nobody, I mean, people stood around. You can see in the background, you can see people walking by and just standing around, and it's like,
and even though they look like they're 4-to-1 to you, every time a woman or a man punches one, they run, then more gang up. I mean, these are the archetypal wimps. Who attacks women? Everyone knows it's the bad guys.
Right. Right. And they do. They always go after the weaker ones, the women, or if they think that, there's a man that's weaker, they'll go after that man. For obvious reasons.
I've seen them do it to people in wheelchairs. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Don't they know they're summoning the whirlwind, though?
I mean, I think that they should realize by now. I mean, what's happening is that you have people that are seeing this happen all across the country, and people are getting angry, and people are starting to get up and stand up, like what you saw in Portland. We had so many patriots out there in Portland, and as you see, I mean, we weren't going to take it. We're not going to take this anymore. I mean,
which means the cowards are going to bring guns next. They got caught with guns, by the way. That got hushed up in the news. So that's the problem. We'll be right back with Lindsey Grathwohl. Stay with us. And that's why Hillary and Soros and the UN and the Democrats in Congress all say they want to shut down. It's on CNN Money today. Shut InfoWars off in the First Amendment. They got law firms, University of Georgetown, saying we want Jones taken off air. It's unbelievable. The lawyers I've got it said they've never seen anything like it. Now, Lindsey Grathwohl's father was a great patriot, a Green Beret. They tried to recruit him into the Weathermen. He got into the highest levels while they were conducting hundreds of bombings. and later helped send him to prison. These, of course, were the mentors of Barack Hussein Obama. And now we're facing this right now. And she was there in Portland 2 weeks ago and then in San Francisco this last weekend where they had a much smaller group and were attacked by vicious Antifa. And again, I would describe these prayer vigils as liberal, conservative people that believe in free speech. I mean, after all, a transsexual, was the person that actually called for the meeting for free speech. And so this is really waking a lot of people up. But, she was issuing really a dire warning earlier about how they're reaping the whirlwind. But I think they don't know what they're doing. They're being sent out with the Democrats on record. Soros funds them to get conservatives mad to come out and be violent. That's why it's critical we not be offensively violent like they tried to do in Charlottesville by colliding the two groups, which were alt-right. That's not what we are. But let's play a clip from her dad decades ago talking about her late father, talking about the Weather Underground and things they openly were talking about. Here it is.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
Now, there is a new bill introduced. It's gotten almost no attention. Epoch Times has reported on it. Unmasking Antifa Act in House proposed 15-year prison term. Under the act, anyone wearing a mask who injures, threatens, intimidates, or oppresses people in the free exercise of enjoyment of any right of privilege will be imprisoned up to 15 years. Well, police blow their privilege when they unlawfully arrest or officially oppress, and they can serve 5 to 10. I think this is very reasonable. The bill proposed in the U.S. House Representative known as the Unmasking Antifa Act 2018 would seek to criminalize committing certain offenses while in disguise. I think it's a very good bill, and it needs to be supported. It's got a lot of co-sponsors, but we need to move this through the House of Representatives right now. Lindsay Grathwall, give us your take on this.
It's about time. It's about time. I mean, this needs to get passed. We need to get more people involved with this, because these attacks are getting worse. They are getting, when I was in Portland, there's bombs being thrown at us, which, I mean, we've had that happen before in Berkeley, but these were bigger. In San Francisco, one of the things that we found out from the cops when they finally showed up was that these people that were, because there was an Occupy ICE protest down a few blocks down from where we were having the prayer vigil. And anyways, the cops told us that Antifa actually had, they described them as machetes. Okay. And so my question was, well, why can't you arrest them? Or, how is that okay for them to be carrying around machetes? And they said, well, because it was in a sheath, that was okay. It's only a matter of time, and we need to be able to identify these people, and these people that are committing these crimes against others need to be held accountable. And we can't do that if they're masked up. I mean, there's many times where we're not able to identify these people and they get away with it. And so we absolutely need something in place so that these people, at the very least, if they're going to go out there, they're unmasked so that we know who they are and they can be held accountable.
And let's be clear, MS-13 has been working with these folks, and their
Yes.
trademark's a machete. This is Austin. Owen Schroyer tried to go to a vigil for the young woman killed in San Francisco by an illegal alien, and the virtue signaling jury said, that's fine, go ahead and kill her, no jail time. When he went, they said, are you scared, boy? You're not going in. They started hitting him with clubs, brandishing firearms. I mean, this is next level. And again, Blue City Police, Austin, the average cop isn't bad here, but they follow their orders. They were right there watching this trash engage in this activity. This is unbelievable. I would never do this, but if I was there with guys with AK-47s saying you can't come on a park, the police would stop me, and they should.
Right. That's how it should be, right? I mean, and I don't understand why in these cities, I mean, especially up in Portland, and I've seen it in Berkeley, where the cops stand down. And in some cases, it even seems as though they're on the side of the Antifa side, Black Bloc.
They're definitely. Did you see the documents we got this year from the brother? When his other brother got in trouble, he got the documents, and it was all confirmed. 40-something pages of George Soros' son running in blue cities with the police. They go attack. They try to cause a riot. The police know where they're going to hit. They're even allowed to, like, throw bottles at them and stuff. It's all staged.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. This is happening in America. In America, of all places, it's unbelievable. And, these are things that, I mean, you brought up my father. I mean, these are things that my father talked about would happen. That, I mean, this is the ultimate, I mean, these are the foot soldiers that are out there shutting us down. And it's just, I don't know, it's, for
let's
me,
be
it's
clear,
almost
your
like Twilight
father
Zone.
was there at the weathermen at the ground floor and exposed them. Now the weathermen are on top. The Antifa leaders are professors. And so this is the exact same movement.
Bill Ayers, actually, it is confirmed. He was in Berkeley on April 15th when that big, huge riot happened. He was not on the street because he's a coward, but he was in, the background helping everybody with signs and all that stuff. So yes, these people are very much, I mean, they're running the show. They're running the show. And this is what they wanted to do from the beginning, is cause this kind of stuff, chaos, to eventually take over. I mean, the government, I mean, they want to basically take over the United States government. That is their ultimate goal. And right now what's happening in the cities is just unbelievable to me. Like I said, it's almost like Twilight Zone stuff, because this is stuff when I'm out there, I'm like, sometimes it's hard for me to believe that I'm even in it.
But what's it like to know that your dad was the first person to ever expose the entire plan?
Well, that's even more crazy to me. Like it's really, sometimes it's like a dream sometimes.
Well, how proud do you think your dad is of you in heaven right now?
I would hope that he's very proud. I'm sure that he would be upset. He wouldn't want me in harm's way. That would be the biggest thing. He wouldn't want me out there in harm's way, but I don't see any other choice. I mean, I feel like they are trying to shut us down at every single level. And
now they're trying to steal our rights. We're going to come back and talk about how we counterstrike, but take your dad. Notice he said, because his intel they documented and recorded was critical understanding the larger Chinese plan. They were funding the weathermen, we now know, as they said, to foment the collapse of the border in the Southwest. Then there'd be an emergency for the government to build centers, but it wouldn't be for the illegals, it'd be for us.
The President of the United States.
The U.S. President is Donald Trump.
Sorry, globalists, you're in checkmate. Launch the final attacks.
Staying healthy on the go is just as important as staying healthy at home. But sometimes, supplements don't work fast enough. That's why InfoWars Life has created a powerful new addition to the Super Blue line, Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. Available in 1 ounce, 3.5 ounce, and 16-ounce bottles, Immune Gargle is perfect for the bathroom, kitchen, or wherever you go. The incredible new purifying formula is dentist recommended for daily use whenever you feel like you need to stay clean. As a powerful hand purifier or oral cleansing formula, just a small spray will help you stay clean when you feel surrounded by toxins. With powerful yet simple ingredients, Immune Gargle features Silver Sol Nano Silver for a powerful cleansing alternative. With Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle, staying toxin-free is easy and affordable. Help stop the spread of toxins and stay healthy with Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. Only available at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.